Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Look who's here, everybody. One of my favorite people and one of the last people I ate a meal with in a restaurant. It's Jeremy Haun, everybody.
God, that's true, isn't it? We were at C2E2 and what was it? Was it Duck Duck Goat? Was that where
Yes,
it was?
very good.
In
West Loop.
Yeah.
The trendy new West Loop, absolutely.
I was actually just talking about that how strange it was to think that was the the last convention ever. Isn't that dramatic?
Last comic convention standing, yes.
Yeah, right. But because I mean that was my first real convention of the year, and it ended up being the last. And I don't know, man. That was great. I feel like that it's interesting. Some of the conversations, and we'll obviously continue those tonight. But some of the conversations that we were having about the state of the industry and what we were building to, the conversations that we were having, that I was having with Andrew McLean and some other friends, Mark Sable. Those things have manifested in lots of different ways. The industry's changed, the world's changed. Now I just really want to go back to Duck Duck Goat and have that damn meal again.
I hear you, buddy. At least the food was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, strange times, unfortunately, and we're making the best of it. And we were just talking off the air that, and I totally understand. And I've really been going down the road every time I talk to somebody that I haven't talked to in a while and say, how has the pandemic affected you creatively? Has it opened doors and provided ways to, work it out and come up with interesting ideas, or has it paralyzed you in any way? I mean, truly, I think both ends are valid, and it depends on the individual.
I mean, talking to friends, yeah, you see the gamut of what it's done. We know that there are people that have not been able to work at all. I think it's interesting too. Like, you look at situations like this, and it really kind of becomes telling about who and what you are. We all process things differently. We all deal with it however we can. There was a moment during the shelter in place when we were all pretty much, for over a month locked down, not going out at all. Where we didn't know anything, it was all new. It was terrifying. We didn't know what was going on or how to feel. So many projects got pencils down during that time. It was a lot. It was, I felt like when every single thing, well, most every single thing, actually, I'll get into it more, but like for instance, like the Red Mother never stopped. Like Boom believed in trying to stay ahead, trying to work, towards a goal. I was incredibly grateful for that. That actually allowed us to stay on track and even get, in a better place than we were. It was really nice, but so much stopped and so much changed. We I think we've all joked that like we had a plan for 2020. It was going to be a better year. We were going to do all these things, and then 2020, jumped off a bridge somewhere and hit every rock on the way down. For me, it really was an opportunity to take a look at who I wanted to be creatively. I know that's a little, like a little artsy fartsy and stuff like that. But the truth of it is, a creator friend of mine asked me, just over a year ago, we had a loss in the family. We had a pretty rough year. And I had said at the time, I'm trying to figure out what I was going to do, what I'm going to be. And he actually asked, what kind of creator do you want to be? Like, like if you say the Jeremy Haun that we know creatively is dead, long live Jeremy Haun, what does that look like? What does that become? And I made fun of him and thought he was being a douche at the time. But then the world changed, then all of this stuff became something different. And I think we had to ask ourselves, okay, all of our worlds ended. I think it's a bit hyperbolic, but the world ended. Now we've got to figure out what's next.
The world that we knew ended, yeah, and the new normal hasn't really hatched itself out yet. We're still in that in between stage,
right?
So I get it.
And I think that for me, it really, I did what everybody else did. I played a lot of board games with my family. I read more. We built a pretty fantastic fire pit out on our patio that we've been
terrific
for years. We deep cleaned. We did all the, we started working on the windows on the house. We did all the projects that we never had time for. And I really got into baking.
That's great.
Yeah, I baked a lot of sourdough. It was, I think I gained like 85 pounds. But I probably drank too much. I'm still seeing if I can keep up that drinking too much trend. But then there was a moment where I realized that the thing, even amidst those comforts amongst chaos, I had this thing that I was needing, and it was telling stories, and more than ever, going back to that, who are you? Who do you want to be thing? It really became about being not just an artist, but a storyteller, and telling stories very much my way and on my terms. I think that the Red Mother, my Boom book, really led the way into that. I mean, I've done, I've done a lot of creator-owned stuff over the past 5 years, right? I did the, the Beauty and the Realm, both comics. Mm-hmm. And I think those led into the Red Mother, and then the Red Mother kind of became this beacon for me through this shining light, saying like, tell stories exactly how you want to tell stories. You don't have to sit there and contemplate what does the market want, what does the market need, because either people are going to like something or they're not going to. And you have to truly be true to yourself and then go on. And so that led to me, really focusing on the Red Mother and on 40 Seconds. And then I started a new really weird project, which was just me. I keep saying that it's been my therapy. I am doing this thing called Haunthology, which I think it's a clever name. You can either say it as Haunthology or you can say it as Haunthology.
Right.
But like it was a chance for me to tell short they started as 1 to 7 pages, but now they're like 1 to 15 pages really. But they're short genre stories, mostly horror really, but they were me dealing with the feelings that I've had during this: isolation, loneliness, confusion, fear, a lot, because I mean, more than ever, we're scared of every damn thing. We just don't know. And I started producing those stories, and at this point I've released 7 of them, and I just don't see it stopping anytime soon. Even as I'm starting back up, and even as projects are kind of spooling back up and I'm able to get going on other stuff, I think those are something that I need to continue. And I realize that when going back to that initial question, who am I? What am I? I think I am someone that writes and draws their own stories, is very selective about, for a long time I needed to draw in order to survive. And I was very lucky. I had great, I had fantastic runs, especially the work that I did for DC. I had over 2 years exclusive at Top Cow, where they took fantastic care of me. They let me work on their books. I've been very lucky in my career. I don't want to ever sound like I didn't love my time at Marvel or DC or at Top Cow or any of the companies that I've worked for. I'm always incredibly grateful for that. But I think I need to tell my stories my way. And if it fits me doing something at a big 2 company or whatever that is, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But it's still, I think I've hit a point where I can't work on things unless I'm absolutely passionate about it. And, I mean, ultimately what it comes down to, life's too damn short, right?
Yeah, I get it, buddy. I mean, and truly going through the same things with broadcasting and stuff. And, I totally understand. And also taking the time to learn something creatively that would benefit my skills and move me forward. And that's really what I've been doing with putting Word Balloon on video now, as well as audio. So no, I totally get it. And no, let's talk about Haunthology. Okay. Because that's great. You sent me the PDF. As you're releasing it, how are you releasing that?
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pour myself some bourbon.
Feel free. I'm drinking my Spendthrift grapefruit soda. Which I love.
I think you're going to be more wrecked than I am, my friend.
But, now, I don't know, man. I recall a certain San Diego when when you chartered the boat, and I I paid my freight to join you, and yeah, I don't want you to be as sick as you were.
Yeah, well, I mean, now we have to do like the mild version of the story to tell everybody about this. So
sorry, man, I don't mean to embarrass
No, I mean, I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the best. I mean, and truly just a good hang, a good 5-day hang. No, but I felt bad for you. Go on.
It was such a good time. Well, we can curse on here, can't we?
Of course you can. Absolutely you can.
All right. So, I mean, I've already said damn a few times.
Yeah. No, you can drop that bombs.
It's been a while. Everybody knows that rooms in San Diego are hard to get, and the prices were just skyrocketing. We were out there in the days where you could still get $100 room, or you stacked yourself in cordwood with 10 other guys, or
very spring break. Yes.
Yeah. And right after we had, like I'd had a couple of, I'd moved to doing some Marvel work, and I was kind of wanting to try to figure out how to get a room that wasn't 10 people, but still be affordable, and rooms were up to, I think they were like, they're probably, still astronomically low compared to now, but I think they were like, $300 and $400 a night. And so I started looking at other stuff, and this is pre-Airbnb.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So we're out there, and we I was looking at stuff, and I found that you could get a boat, you could get a yacht, like a nice boat,
really nice boat.
And it was docked. Like a mile down the road. So you'd have to get a taxi or figure out a shuttle.
Right, those shuttles,
hotel right there.
Yeah, for people, exactly. We were in a bay behind the Sheraton, one of the Sheraton hotels.
Yeah,
and San Diego, for people who don't normally go, they do provide a shuttle bus service to the hotels, literally like starting at like 6 or 7 in the morning till like 3 in the morning.
Oh yeah. It was fantastic. So if for some reason things got weird, you could get a cab, but if not, you could, you just had a shuttle, and many a time we got up and caught the shuttle and, went out. But this nice boat, and it's like a boat that my dumb ass didn't really belong on. It's a beautiful boat.
It didn't it have 2 showers in it?
We each had a shower because there was yeah, it was
it slept like, it could have easily slept like 6 or even 8. We each had our own bedrooms.
Yeah, we each had a nice bedroom
with a king size bed.
Each had a shower. It was fantastic. So we're in there, and one of the nights, Philip Sablick was with Top Cow at the time. Russ Cundiff and a few friends. We did this thing. There's the taco place. I can't remember what
Tin Fish.
Yes.
Right across the street from the convention center. Mahi tacos, unbelievably great food. Right in front of Petco.
Right.
The sports stadium.
Yes. So we joked that we always said it's time to get the band together, and we joked that our band was Fuck Yeah Tacos, because every time that we would talk about going to San Diego, we'd always be like, tacos, yeah, fuck yeah tacos.
Got to, absolutely, the best food.
So we got there, and my delightful friends were a little bit ahead of me, and so I decided I was going to catch up, and I was not the experienced booze hound I am now. And so I caught up with some pretty damn good tequila. And then very quickly, the tequila caught up with me. And so I think basically the long and short of it is, folks, John thought I was probably going to die because I was
worried about you, buddy.
And I did not sound great or was great, but I made it through, and still I was able to be incredibly hungover on a really nice boat. So
well, exactly. At least you had a nice room, a nice comfortable room. The weather was like perfect. I mean, we literally could like open the hatches and have like just a nice sea air to like keep us cool and everything and comfortable. I mean, and that's why I felt so bad, because we're like literally in the lap of luxury at a reasonable price.
Right.
And poor Jer is like half sick and half nursing a hangover. It was rough, man.
But
did you get like a flu or whatever as well?
It's that, like, because there's air conditioning on these boats.
Well, yeah,
and it was that recirculated air, and I got like an ear infection.
Oh, Jesus!
It was at the very end. Yeah, I'm I think as I've gotten old, maybe it's that I'm pickled now. My system was pretty
good. Seriously, Jer, we've had some amazing convention adventures. I think of that, or I think of Cincinnati, one of Tony and Kara Moore's great Cincy Comic Cons.
Such a good time.
And us going out to the Waffle House at like, midnight or whatever.
Right.
And then, of course, because, again, obligatory, and we're all of age, it's fine. Go to the liquor store. Maybe not the nicest neighborhood.
Right.
Are we?
Yeah.
I seriously, I felt obligated to protect Lori. And so I'm just like, all right, this is my friend's wife. I'm worried about her. All right.
Right. Yeah. It ended up being yet one of many adventures I think that we've had. So yeah, it's
fun, man.
I mean, I think that's the amazing thing about this industry. And maybe even what I truly miss right now is the we're people of all the genders that work in dark studios for long hours, right? You are constantly editing something or recording something, or and it's it can be like this, but often it's just this hunched over
percent.
And as nice as it is to be able to work on your own and make things, I think that going to those conventions, and for me especially, going to those conventions and picking out the small group that you're like, hey, we're going to go to dinner, we're going to have a couple nice drinks, we're going to talk about, inside baseball in this crazy industry, and then gonna go home and sleep like old people. That's fantastic. And it's made for a lot of years of really great relationships, and it's something that I think that you don't really even realize how important and recharging that is until you don't have it.
Agreed.
Yeah. I like I said, Chicago was the last show that we had for a while, and damn, I miss it.
It's amazing, Jared. It's been 6 months, and truly, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to Tom King. A couple days ago, I talked to Johnny Christmas, and like even in the case of you and Tom, I knew for certain we hung out and we had significant moments. I just saw Johnny on the con floor, and I'm like, Johnny, was that last year or this year? He's like, oh, no, it was this year. I'm like, okay, fine. Because it feels like it was so long ago. And, of course, by now, we would have been at least one or two other shows.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that as well. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen that thing popping around, but it's like,
oh, my God. Yeah, forgive me, Jared, but we'll continue this. I hate to interrupt, but apparently there's news. And I'm just checking. Yeah, it was just a minute ago. I cannot believe this. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Chadwick Boseman is dead of cancer at 43. That's insane. That's insane. And it's so heartbreaking. What an incredible actor. What an incredible impact he had, not only on the nerd culture, but in Hollywood in general, with all the different roles he's played. And what an important actor. You can't stress enough. My God, Jared, we've suddenly found ourselves in a new situation that we really do have to take a pause and acknowledge this. Jeff, I appreciate you letting me know. Yeah, I'm speechless, because not only Black Panther, but Get On Up, his incredible James Brown portrayal, his incredible Jackie Robinson portrayal in 42. So many great roles, and such a vital actor that I really was looking forward to countless movies to come. I mean, my God, this man is seriously, this is James Dean passing away. And really, even I'd say more significant because of his incredible impact and everything. Yeah, apparently, I'm trusting Jeff's source here, because Jeff's a broadcast guy. So according to the Hollywood Reporter, Chadwick Boseman dead at 43 of cancer. Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit.
Holy, I mean, yeah, what does that mean? I mean, God, think of the implications. And again, I just want to focus on the man and how wonderful an actor he was.
Well, I mean, everything that he touched. I mean, damn.
Yeah, we might have to talk about this for a little while. Saturday Night Live. And then, God, when he hosted Saturday Night Live and played T'Challa on Jeopardy. and was so great. And just, I mean, that's the thing. And or when I think it was on Jimmy Fallon, where he would surprise people. They were standing in front of the Black Panther poster, and so many people talking about how much Black Panther meant to them, and then he would show up. And I mean, my God, the guy almost had like Beatle sort of status of immediately like everybody loves this guy.
I mean, you saw him in the Marvel movies, and then in the, you know, just that charisma, that life. Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. I honestly, you know, forgive me. I don't even.
Yeah, I don't mean to spring it on you, man, but it is significant, and we're live, and God, you know, people watching are obviously responding, and you know, Steve and Dan, and yeah, I'm stunned, and as I say, when you think of the body of work, you know, I'm going to pull up his IMDb while we're talking to, you know, just kind of go through the list of so many great performances. That, like I said, I mean, it was very easy now to just even list 42 and Get On Up. I mean, my God, he is so good in Get On Up as James Brown. It is such an, I mean, it's a Raging Bull De Niro sort of performance. And God damn, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm 36 credits as an actor. And the things that were. Okay, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is completed. Of course, now What If was filming, and he was going to be in the first episode of that, the animated episode. I wonder if they got his voice track or not. Yasuka is something that was in pre-production. And then, of course, Black Panther 2 was announced. But yeah, that's, wow. What do you do? That's amazing. And it's so sad. It's so tragic. And I had no idea. Obviously, I don't think any of us knew that he had cancer.
I mean, I think that, you know, again, every role that he played was amazing. But I think about, you know, the impact on the Marvel universe with T'Challa, with Black Panther. He, you know, he had the impact of the irreplaceable impact of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. You know, there was a warmth and hella acting chops.
Yes.
I mean, it's irreplaceable. And I mean, and more than that, just for his family and friends. And hey, so 2020 sucks, by the way. I don't know if you caught that yet.
Yeah. I'm preparing a banner because, and I've got the news story ready. Here I'm going to read the variety story of it right now. Black Panther star Chadwick Boseman has died at 43. His Twitter account reported that he had been battling colon cancer. Boseman also appeared in Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods, Get On Up, 42, and Draft Day. And the statement is, it is with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. The statement read, it was the honor of his life to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther. He died in his home. Here, I've got the full statement here. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you've come to love so much. And they acknowledge his characters, from Marshall in Da 5 Bloods, August Wilson in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more. All were filmed during and in between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. Can you imagine that while he was making these amazing movies? It was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther. He died in his home with his wife and family by his side. The family thanks you all for the love and support. I'm seeing if there's more to this statement. And they ask that you continue to respect their privacy during this difficult time. Wow. So there you go, everybody. And I hate to put a poll on this episode of Word Balloon, but again, we're learning this live, and we're reacting to it. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, Steve Rotterdam always sucks right to the end. I never had a problem with August, but this is certainly sad news and a way to close out August with again, a man who really made, as you say, like Robert Downey Jr., such an impact on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And Jesus, you probably know too, Jer. There was a Black Panther convention that was specifically only about the Black Panther. I mean, it's amazing the impact that Boseman had and that movie had. I mean, it's really Ryan Coogler is such an incredible filmmaker, and that film in particular was such the right film at the right moment, and so many great performances on it, and a celebration of so many great the Black acting profession and so many great actors all in it. And again, Chadwick Boseman just held that mantle, I think, incredibly well. And then now to learn that, God, he was battling cancer during some of the filming of those amazing performances. Oh. Yeah. So, all right, there you go. Jeez. Well, again, I'm sure we'll learn more, and it will be interesting, and we'll all be paying attention to, I'm sure, the community this weekend. I'm sure it'll be very heartfelt and a lot of tributes to him. I imagine that there will be statements from Kevin Feige and the others of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, both on the production side and on the acting side as well. And I guess we'll be watching the news sites for these comments and quotes. But yeah, I'm really sorry that we have to acknowledge this sad news during this conversation. But we'll move on.
We'll be okay. But
oh
yeah, I just I think a lot about and look, people love to talk about whether their thoughts on a movie, whether they liked it or not, or where it stands in the oeuvre of Marvel films or whatever it is. But that movie mattered in a way that like I saw little kids getting to go for the first time, getting to see an entire cast that represented them, and such a big, true, noble representation. I don't know, man. That's if as you said that, as I realized that you were saying that we had lost somebody, I don't know that you could have picked anyone that I would have actually expected less.
I agree. No, he seems so vital and poised to continue again beyond everybody. We're all counting in and looking forward to the sequel to Black Panther.
Yeah.
But again, this guy is really. He already cemented his place as one of the great actors of his color and generation. Yeah. And that's no hyperbole, truly. He is there with the Poitiers and, again, the Denzels and people like that. And again, at an age where, again, good Lord, we were expecting at least another decade, if not more, and likely more, and see him reach that Morgan Freeman portion of his career. This is a great, great actor.
Right.
And there was nothing but more great work that we were all hoping for to come. Again, the colon cancer, man, again, as a middle-aged man, have yourself checked. This is the kind of things, get the colonoscopy, as you get older. Jesus, here's a guy that's, more than a decade younger than me and succumb to it. It's a terrible thing. And we should all take note of that and then acknowledge that we need to take care of ourselves. And just heartbreaking. And again, all those roles. He was a great Jackie Robinson. He was incredible as James Brown. all these movies. And as you say, that movie came at a really important time, and especially that time is still very relevant right now with all that we're going through.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's and again, even just the cultural shift. I didn't even appreciate the Black Panther mythos as much as after I saw that movie. I mean, I was always a Black Panther fan,
right.
And so many great writers and artists that have worked on the book and everything from Christopher Priest and God, I'm blanking right now. The great writer from the 70s that did so many great Black Panther books. And shame on me for blanking. Maybe somebody in the audience will jog my memory. It's a guy that God, he's written. It's an older white gentleman too. God, I was on a Black Panther panel with Chris Priest and Afua Richardson and this gentleman. Here, maybe somebody is saying it right now and it will help me out. Of course, Don McGregor. Thank you, Odo. Thank you very much.
You guys are awesome with your that's great.
No, everyone's watching, man, and I think we're all stunned. Yeah, I mean, there are no words there other than the last 10 minutes that I think we've expressed.
I mean, there are two words that just come to mind, and it's "fuck cancer." I think we've all lost people. We've all lost people hard like that.
My father had a brain tumor. I can relate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just,
yeah.
I think so much about the fragility of life, right? Like that's the thing that we were even hitting on earlier, and even before we got on live, we were sort of talking about this. Nothing. Such little matters right now beyond taking care of each other and loving one another and looking at your fellow man, appreciating the things you appreciate, creating the things that you love. We've got, it's such a weird world. And, I don't know. We don't know when, I know people that have lost dear friends and family members to COVID during this. There's not a lot of, there's not a map for any of this. And I just hope that we can learn to appreciate and help one another and try to make as much of a difference as we can. Hell, I mean, right now, I talk a lot about Joplin, the town that I live in, and something as simple as masks has been a divisive thing in our town. It's people are angry with one another. People aren't going into businesses. People, are only supporting certain, and it's like, you're just watching this thing, and it's, I mean, and then somebody important out of the blue, we lose another person, and it's like, can we just realize that we got to do a little better?
Yeah. And I'll work together. And everything. And I hope, but I think, like I said, Boseman was an incredible ambassador to the mantle of being Black Panther, and also representing the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it really, I think, did an incredible job of presenting a professional persona that only, again, he just exuded just positivity and just was just this. It just seemed like he seemed like such a great guy. And I think that film and his performance, it just gave us all so much joy and optimism. Mm-hmm. And that's the real tragedy of losing somebody like that I think projected such positivity in a very dark time. And then someone that we could all, I mean, that's the thing. I really genuinely felt, even as a middle-aged white guy, like how much this guy meant to the culture.
Yeah.
And it really was this like, God, isn't that great? Look at that. And I mean, we talked about it. I mean, when the MCU really broke through and Iron Man broke through, as comic book nerds, we all were like, well, of course Iron Man was going to be a big movie. But if we really stepped back, Iron Man, I mean, they had to reboot Iron Man several times over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You remember when he was a teenager and, things like that. And really, when you think back to, and you'll forgive me, Jer, if we spend more time on this, we think back to the comics and Marvel Knights, and Black Panther was part of Palmiotti and Quesada's agenda right from the start, and they tapped Christopher Priest to do it, and oh my God, what a great run, and so important. I mean, what else can you say? But it really, was such a great book. And then to really take the time with Black Panther and develop it as a film. And they got, I always blank on the director's name. The director of The French Connection and To Live and Die in L.A., Chicago guy.
Friedkin?
Yes, thank you. William Friedkin. I always quote William Friedkin that 1,000 things have to go right to make a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you can absolutely say that about the Black Panther movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one thing whenever I walked out of that movie, we were with a group of friends. There was a big group of us there. And we walked out of that movie, and I just remember kind of talking about like the joy, because you said earlier, the joy, like the joy in that movie. I mean, it's a comic book movie, man. Like, come on. Comic book movies, we love them, we love to hate them, all the things, but like, I don't know that the comic book movies get to change the world, but man, if you have joy in a movie, if you can represent that, I walked into that movie with the biggest smile on my face, because you saw the people in that film, with joy and hope. And we need more of that. So,
yeah, I mean, no, I think everything about that movie, we said back when Deadpool came out, and rightfully so, that it was a game changer because it was for the comic book genre of films.
Yeah.
But that said, Black Panther, good Lord, man. I mean, even more so. And again, I think really impacted the culture, and it's a great mythology that was translated really well to the big screen. Again, we had 40 years of comic books, 40 plus years of comic book enjoyment of Wakanda, and all the great creators from Stan Lee and Jack Kirby through Don McGregor and Chris Priest and on, and to even, Ta-Nehisi Coates and the others that have, and Fu Richardson and some of the other great writers and artists that have had a chance to play with this character.
Yep.
But then, Ryan Coogler comes with this incredible movie. The soundtrack was amazing. The casting was amazing. The way it was shot was amazing. And and again, you need, a great film or a great television series, you need a quarterback. That's the star.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Chadwick Boseman, he ran with the ball. And again, we will focus on his passing, but as comic book nerds, we can't help but think too, how do you fill those shoes? How do you fill those shoes? Because I do think it's important to move forward. And as in fact, DC Fandom was 2 weeks ago, and we got the Pattinson, or last weekend. Jesus, that's how fast, that's how much time gets crazy now. But we saw the Pattinson trailer for Batman and stuff, and proving, I think, again, that the characters are enduring and bigger than some of the actors that have played them. It's gonna be very interesting, because I do think it's important for the story to continue.
Well, I think that you start dealing in the idea that not only do you have T'Challa's shoes to fill, but you've got Chadwick's, and like that suddenly creates a situation where there is so much to that. And I was, as you were talking earlier, I was thinking about that, like that the first Avengers Infinity War film, the first of the two. Like, I remember watching it and I was like, that was pretty good. And then I was like, but my favorite parts were the Wakanda parts, like getting to see Black Panther and all of Wakanda again. Like, that was, basically Thor and Wakanda were my favorite parts of that movie. And, again, it's just so much due to what he brought to that character.
Go back to Civil War and just his debut and how immediately, literally hits the ground running, and is dynamic and charismatic. You can't take your eyes off him. He absolutely embraced the role and ran with it. And again, that Saturday Night Live, just that whole hosting period, he was great. But when he played T'Challa on Jeopardy, and I don't know if you've seen that sketch.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Good. Oh, it was awesome. It was, and even friends of mine that used to be comic book fans and saw that lost their minds, because they're like, wow. Because they saw the movie too. And it's like, right. How often do you get to portray yourself that way and do it in such a great comedic way? But and it was incredible.
So funny.
No, and it only made you love him more. And also, again, that great Jimmy Fallon segment where he met fans. And it really, it's like that wonderful picture of Gal Gadot. I think it was at San Diego, where there's that little 4-year-old girl in the Wonder Woman suit. And just the look on Gal Gadot's face of appreciation, and knowing how much the kid's probably mind is exploding that she's meeting Wonder Woman. And that's how these adult people were reacting, meeting Boseman. And I even remember one guy going, "My king," and bowing to him and stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, I get it. That's there are a few actors that really make you want a character to be real life. And Boseman brought that reality to Black Panther and T'Challa. It's a great legacy, and thank God we've got this incredible body of work. And I look forward to the years on Turner Classic Movies and other movie channels when we have a Chadwick Boseman festival or weekend, and it's going to be very easy to populate it with a lot of A-list performances and films. He leaves behind a great body of work and is a very significant actor. And thank you to him for bringing Black Panther to life. And it's something that really opened up the nerd culture in a great way. And never before had Black Panther ever gotten the attention because of that film. That's why. It was. There are very few game changer films in the comic book genre. There are great films in the comic book genre, but there are very few that it's like, wait a minute, what about this? Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Spider-Man and even Wolverine, kind of no-brainers. Black Panther, tough sell. And they, beyond A+. Good Lord, it deserved the nomination for Best Picture that it got.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, bummer. Well, Jared, thanks for coming on Word Balloon tonight. I'm kidding. Honestly, people, if here, Rick Lee James says he carried himself with such poise and character, truly heroic and seemed to embody the role. Absolutely, man, 100%. Yeah. If folks, so we'll move on and we'll go back to our original thoughts. I obviously felt the need, and I'm glad that my buddy Jeff Stein made me aware of the loss that we suffered today. But rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Thank you very much for your contribution to the nerd culture and the culture in general, because your impact will not be forgotten. And this is, more, I would even say, bigger than Heath Ledger's Joker, frankly, as much as we love that. That's my apartment, Bosie.
I was really terrified for a second about what that sound was, but
no, it's not a God. I was talking to, and this will hopefully bridge to calmer discussion, Alex DeCampi in the middle of we were recording an interview, and it was during one of those really terrible rains. And of course, Joplin, you know, it seems like you'll get weather, and then about, you know, a day or sometimes even hours later, we'll get the same weather here in Chicago. But it was one of those really torrential rainpours, and the sewers by me had backed up so much, my bathtub was flooding.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
So I'm like, hang on, Alex. And I look at him like, Alex, my bathtub is filling up with black water right now. I've got to go. But we can continue this tomorrow. She's like, okay, no problem. Go. And thank God, man. I mean, it really could have been, God, I was, again, weird fate here. I would have been working on radio that night and would have come home to a flooded apartment and thousands of dollars of damage. And instead I was home and I was able to contain the flooding.
Yeah.
And it didn't go further than my bathroom floor, thank God. And yeah, you know, so you never know. You never know with these things. Yeah. So
hey, I'm going to drink a little bit more whiskey now.
Yeah, feel free. I've got another Spindrift that I'm going to crack open as well. What are you drinking?
You have a two Spindrift maximum, right? Like don't.
Well, otherwise I'm gonna have to get up and pee. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm now switching to there's a local. If I can hold it in front of the damn camera.
Oh, there it is.
This is Pendergast Royal Gold.
Very
from
nice.
This is actually a Kansas City whiskey, and it's really good. I like it.
Good to hear. Yeah. But, you were doing cocktails and comics and what was that whole project for a while?
Yeah, I was doing that. Basically, they were like comic recipes. Comic style cocktail recipes.
Yeah.
I was doing those for about a year, and then honestly, this happened. Well, I was getting close. I needed to make sure that I had enough, you know.
Okay.
But then, honestly, you know, we were in Chicago, and all of this happened, and I realized that I've been doing comics and cocktails on Patreon, and that had been the specific place for that project. And I realized whenever this happened and we were without distribution, you know, and pencils down and all the things about the industry that were changing, I realized that at least for a little while, the only way people were going to get content from me was if I figured out a way to put more comics in comics and cocktails. So I shifted the purview, the goal of what I was doing from the cocktail recipe comics to doing what I'm doing now, which is all the Haunthology stuff. You know, I wanted to make short stories. I wanted to get content out there. I wanted to have something that I could just share with people. I mean, it's, you know, there's been a strange thing. You know, we're always trying to figure out how to connect with our audience better. And we always want to give, you know, more content. We want to, we just want to tell damn good stories, you know? But for me, I really felt like the best and easiest consistent way that I could do something was just putting more comics in comics and cocktails. So I'm still going to get back to it and do more cocktail recipes, but for me, it became more important about telling these short stories and really, I don't know, doing something that like, was as close to comic stories as I could get, you know, without necessarily being able to, you know, put a book in a store.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are people to get Haunthology, is it through Patreon? What's the
yeah, for right now it's through Patreon. You know, I don't know. I really, Patreon's a weird thing. I think most people that are involved in Patreon have a real love-hate relationship with it. I hate the idea of having anything behind a paywall. It's not like, you know, I'm not trying to hold anything back from anybody or whatever. But for me, it really becomes a twofold thing. More than ever, we're trying to figure out how to monetize any of this stuff. You're trying to do it. I'm trying to do it. I mean, this becomes money that we can pay a bill with, or pay 2 bills with, or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
There are creators out there that are able to subsidize a lot of their income with something like Patreon. For me, it really became like, I thought about it and I was like, it has to be bonus content, and really, really also, I don't know, the word content's so weird now. I think it's a douchey word, but
I know what you mean though.
But I wanted to give people something that they couldn't get otherwise. I wanted to give people something that was truly special. And these stories for me, I think earlier before all this, I was talking about it, and like, I always tell genre stories, whether it's the Red Mother or the Beauty or the Realm or 40 Seconds. They're always, horror or slight sci-fi or adventure, all these things. But I wanted to do something that that really, I could examine the feelings that I am having, that we were talking about, that my friends were talking about. I was seeing again and again online, people talking about being scared or alone, or, feeling vulnerable, feeling unsure. And I wanted to tell stories about that, but as scary stories, spooky stories, stories about, alien invasions or monster apocalypses or various things. And I kind of took all those feelings and just channeled it. I was having a situation where for well over a month, I was having, not night terrors or something like that, but I was having these terrible dreams, and I was waking up, no matter if I went to bed at, midnight or my usual 4 or 5 in the morning. I work late. That's why.
Yeah, me too, buddy. I hear you. And then have the same nightmares. Go on.
But like, I was having these vivid nightmares, and then waking up at like 9:47 every morning, and I was getting like 5 hours of fitful sleep, and I was a zombie. And so then I started talking about that in the stories, people not sleeping well, people, people reacting to things. And for somehow, in some way, these stories, even though they're genre examinations of monsters or terrible things, they really became about the things that were going on in my world. And I think doing them, I started to feel a little better. There was something that I could control. If I had something to say, if I was angry about something, or hurt about something, or scared about something, I could drop a line in here, or I could do this, or I could do that. And ultimately, I've had a lot of people ask, and I'm going to collect this thing.
Good.
It's very much me. And that's another thing, is it's all me. So like, there are black and white stories, because I just love black and white stories.
I'm so with you, Jared. I love black and white comics, and it bums me out that that's almost a challenge to some readers.
I appreciate that you like comics the way you do, and that people out there, I respect you. If you're like, hey, I don't like looking at black and white artwork, I respect that. I personally love looking at black and white artwork. I miss it. But like, these stories are me writing, drawing, and lettering, soup to nuts, the whole thing. I've had a lot of people ask if I'm going to collect them. I will. I'm still examining how I'm going to collect them a little bit. I've had a couple people kind of ask, when I was starting, they were like, Are you going to pitch this around? Are you going to show this to us? So there are a couple of options. I mean, you know, as with most of this, I do feel like, you know, you're starting to see more and more people getting back into doing big Kickstarters. I think it's a way to absolutely control everything and get it directly to fans. I never really want to leave out shops. That's always for me the biggest thing. You know, our retail partners as comic creators are incredibly important. You know, it's
agreed.
And I've seen so many shops take hits. I've seen so many shops fight and fight and fight during this. Probably not going to rant too much about my feelings on obligations to take care of your people, but you know, it shouldn't all just fall on us as fans and customers to help them. But I see people fighting and doing what they can, and I want to make sure, because they've supported me all through my career. I want to be able to give back. I don't just want to have a product that can't be in shops. So I'm trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to do this whole thing.
Got you.
But there is going to be a physical thing. Basically, my goal is once I get to 100 pages, and it's not going to be an exact number to be perfect. 100 story pages.
Okay.
But like, I think my newest math, I just finished my 42nd page of artwork for this thing. And I just finished writing the 80. Sorry, I'm terrible with math on the fly.
No problem, buddy. We're not going anywhere.
87th. The 87th.
Wow, that's great, Jer.
Written page.
Okay.
I've written 87 pages.
Wow.
So I think I'm going to top out at about 120 rather than 100. Probably.
Right, that's typical graphic novel size.
Yeah. Well, and then I mean, I'm going to include. That's been the other great thing about doing this on Patreon, and I'm sure that you know, with your Patreon and with so many that we see out there, it becomes about the bonus stuff that you can do. You know, I have an outlet on Patreon. You can read my stories, and then a week later, I give you the script. You can read my script. I give you the thumbnails for it. I talk about the process. I do time-lapse videos. You can actually sit there and watch me ink. I've done commentary, like talking over those things. I actually got this great fancy microphone right here.
I see that. Well done. Beautiful.
To do that on. You've been telling me forever I need a microphone. But, you know, Patreon gave us a way to do bonus content. And then I'm going to take, you know, obviously I can't put the time-lapse videos in there, but I can show all the thumbnails. I can show the scripts. I can show the sketches. I can show all that stuff. So I can give you a hardcover that has 120 pages of actual story stuff, plus key art pieces, plus I mean, I could do 100 pages of bonus content without batting an eye, and really give you an in-depth look at this stuff. You know, I love books like that. I love that stuff.
I agree.
You know, I'm kind of convinced.
Nice on your shelf too.
Sorry, yeah,
they look nice on your bookshelf too.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm truly convinced that, you know, we all want to make stuff for our audience. We all want to make stuff for you. But ultimately, I think part of it is just we want cool looking shit on our shelves. And, you know, I'm greedy. I want that book. I want that book on my shelf. I like that idea.
I like it. Ed from YouTube has a good question for you. A shout out to Realm number 15 ended with a scheduled break note. Any plans that you can discuss? Yeah,
Seth and I have been talking about it. I mean, the reality of publishing. This is something you and I talked about in Chicago, John. You know, the reality of publishing prior to this was, you know, we have to figure out ways. with creator-owned comics, especially ongoing long-form creator-owned comics, to make sure that our teams are taken care of. It's easy sometimes if the stars align to be like, hey, we're going to do this forever. But the reality of it is when you have on the realm, it's Seth, Seth writing, me drawing, us building this story together. Nick Filardi on colors, Thomas Maurer on design, Joel Enos on editorial. We have to take care of that staff, and we have to take care of those people, and we have to make sure that it's financially feasible to do that. And occasionally, because of that, you have to take a scheduled break where you take other gigs, paying work to facilitate those things. And we saw it coming. We knew we were going to have to do it. We took that break. And then I took other work to kind of fill in those gaps, to get all those, to get my bills paid for, to make sure that we didn't owe anybody any money,
Sure.
And then that was about March when things were really we're like, hey, we can, if everything had gone to plan, let's see, right about now, we would be pretty much ready to get back on the realm.
Okay.
The reality of it is right about now, I'm getting back on the things that are supposed to be fixing us, to bring us up financially. So, it's been a time. So, that's the reality of making creator-owned books, and some, and it's feast and famine. I think that in the beginning, the realm was one of the most successful projects I've ever worked on. By the end of it, we were having to really be cautious and make sure that we weren't going to lose our shirts or, not be able to take care of our kids. It's harsh. It's a harsh reality. It's not very glamorous. I don't know. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about,
but it's a real, I mean, there's the reality of production that obviously, unfortunately, impacts, putting out the story and finishing the story. So do you think, will you wrap it up? Do you think, how are you envisioning the future of the realm?
Well, Seth and I have been talking about it a lot because the realm is a long form story. It's an epic. Even before, we had been talking about it, saying, is this something that can sustain itself doing 9-10 issues a year? For those of you that saw my art on that book, that it was some of the most complex of my career, and I've gone stupid since then and only gotten more complex. It's very hard to sustain that level of output on a monthly basis or something like that. It's like, depending on what it is, and depending on, if you've got a book that's focuses on 10 main characters fighting their way through an apocalyptic wasteland, that's a lot of shit to draw. But there are other, if you're drawing a solo book about a character in a snowstorm, that's a lot easier to do. But so it really became about how can we do this? How can we make sure that we put the book out in a way that fans can appreciate? So it really became about, can we do almost like the BPRD model, where it's like you get one arc a year, you get realm, Revenge of the Dark, whatever.
Yeah,
the other. And then that's that, and that can be the length, it might be 7 issues for that, because we don't it's about the story. That was one of the things I think that Seth particularly had a hard time with, was writing a story that had to be 5 issues to fit in a trade so that it could stay on the proper schedule to, like, so I think what we want to do is we want to come back and we want to tell stories. Again, I don't know what the industry looks like right now.
Sure.
That's been a lot of the conversation too. I as a 44-year-old man who used to get, my mom worked at a little pharmacy dime store with a spinner rack, and I got, we were so poor, a single mom, she would bring me the comics with the covers torn off from after they went off the shelf. Charlie, the guy that owned the place, would let her bring them to me. I've always loved single issues. I still to this day buy single issues. I don't know, man. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know. I hope we have single issues. I hope we can. I hope for all of our sakes, we can still buy comics the way we want to read them. But, so I don't know if it's going to be a 5, 6, 7 issue arc that then is done as a graphic novel after that, or if it's just going to come out as an OGN. But we do have plans to continue. We want to continue. It is important. I think the story changes a little bit as it goes. It's going to have to, the way we approach it. But we're not going to, we're not going to also just throw away everything that we built on and not answer that. Like, we're going to do it. We're okay, clever guys. Like, we're decently smart enough to figure out how to tie in. And the cliffhanger that he specifically talked about in issue 15, we can't not see how that ends up. We will see that, and we'll know where things are going. I think one of the biggest things is figuring out how to speed it along at a clip that feels right, without dawdling or losing the feel of the series.
Having written and drawn a post-apocalyptic story and truly dealing with the reality that we're currently dealing with, does that make, does that hurt creatively in terms of, Christ, things are bleak enough, and then to turn to a different sort of bleakness, like in the realm, is it okay? Or are you like, because honestly, Bendis at the beginning of the pandemic, at a very optimistic time, despite dealing with all this, is like, hey, and really it was the second to last word balloon he did. He was like, look, I know things are tough, but a lot of interesting creativity can come when you face these kinds of obstacles. And that's, you and I have been talking about that both on the air and off the air. But that said, it's been interesting to hear. Just like in the wake of 9/11, it's like, okay, I need something light.
Yeah.
I can't deal with something heavy right now. So yeah, you get what I'm saying here. Does that make it harder for you and Seth to think, or is the story also mapped out enough that it's okay?
Well, I think it depends a lot on your intent and how you perceive these kinds of stories. I do, in 2021, we're going to be releasing the final issue of The Beauty.
Okay.
Which is a book about an epidemic, about an STD that makes you beautiful.
Yep.
Which is different than this, but still, it's an epidemic book. We've got The Realm, that's a post-apocalyptic story. A lot of it, I feel like, depends on your delivery and your intent when it comes to creativity. I don't think I could read The Road right now. Cormac McCarthy's The Road again.
Soylent Green.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Honestly, truly one of my favorite science fiction movies, and is such an easy. Soylent Green is people. Yeah, right. If that's all you know about Soylent Green, I feel sorry for you, because you're missing an incredible suspense police procedural set in the future, a very bleak future that you could kind of recognize, and it takes place in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, because I happen to notice, I was looking at Turner's schedule, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna have a Charlton Heston day, and sure enough, like late at night, they're running Soylent Green, and it's like, I don't know that, or when the pandemic started, I noticed on one of the Roku channels they were promoting Outbreak, the Dustin Hoffman movie.
But I think
like,
there
who wants to see that right now?
But there are people that are wanting to see that, and there are people like there's I know people, but like for me, like I personally can't do Soylent Green or The Road, but I will sure as shit go home right now, and if I turn on the TV and Mad Max Fury Road is on, I'll watch that in a heartbeat.
Okay.
And
that's hilarious.
And I think that, so then it becomes about how you deal with those things. I mean, a lot of the stories in Haunthology have elements of the end of the world, of something being wrong. But I think it's just in how you approach it and like what the theme is, is there beauty in the thing at all? Or is it just bleak? Are you just dealing with pain and suffering, or are you dealing with humanity, triumph in the face of darkness? I don't know that I'm going to necessarily. I can promise you this. The next 3 big things, my follow-ups to The Red Mother and 40 Seconds, are not post-apocalyptic in the least.
Okay.
One's kind of almost like a supernatural YA thing. Another, one of them is actually pretty post-apocalyptic. I was like, no, not that one. But then there is literally one where I was like, nope, that's actually exactly what that is. Yeah, don't listen to me. Don't listen to me at all. I've had bourbon. It's been a rough night. I found out one of my favorite actors passed.
I know. I'm sorry, buddy. Jesus, Here, I want to lighten things up a little bit. You mentioned Mad Max Fury Road. That is a Hot Wheels size Interceptor.
Nice.
Mad Max. Dude, I don't know if you've noticed, because I have posted photos. That's been one of my weird COVID reactions. I'm like, a couple of years ago, I bought a Corgi James Bond DB5 Aston Martin from GoldenEye because as a kid, I loved Corgi cars. Absolutely adored them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I can't afford these because they start at like $50. And I indulged myself with one. But I'm like, I noticed that Hot Wheels, God, I'm sure by you as well, like just generic Hot Wheels right now are like $1 each.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, all right, I don't need generic Hot Wheels. But I think because of Ford versus Ferrari and watching those beautiful Shelby race cars and all those great cars, well, the Ferraris as well, and that classic 60s period of racing and everything, I'm like, I never was really a big car buff, but I loved Hot Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me want to get Hot Wheels size cars that remind me of, the movies and television that I love. And thank God, I mean, they're not rare at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was kind of a resurgence of Hot Wheels 10 or 15 years ago.
Right.
And I think it died out like 5 years ago or whatever, 8 years ago, something like that. So thankfully, I think there's a lot of warehouses of this stuff that is not expensive to get. And there are all these companies, not only Hot Wheels, but like Johnny Lightning. I think this Interceptor is a Johnny Lightning car.
Yeah.
But they're Hot Wheels size and they're die cast, so they got some weight to them. They got some heft. Yeah. I got the Mystery Machine of Scooby-Doo. I got the Jetsons car.
That's awesome.
I love these. Honestly, my latest one that I got that's still in the box is Christine, the Stephen King Chevy, 57 Chevy. And I love these. And I'm so, and again, they're not more than $19 to $20 or something. And that's the more expensive ones. And like the Mystery Machine and the Jetsons car, they were under $10. I'm like, are you kidding? So I've bought like about 20, 25 of these, and I absolutely adore them. And I look at them constantly, and I've taken them out of the box and I hold them, and it's like, that's my little childhood escape right now.
No, we need that though. I was actually talking to a friend just a couple nights ago about like, what gives you joy right now? Like, what's the thing? Because without any effort at all, we can dive into politics or state of natural disasters or the terrible situation with mortality or any of these things. Like we don't have to try. Like I find myself just being like, like I'll walk into a room or flick open my phone and I'm like, oh my God, and I just want to turn it off. But like, what gives you joy? I love, and for you, it's little cars. I mean, that's beautiful. Like that's amazing that right now the thing that's actually fulfilling you is just little cars. I don't know. We need more. I understand hurt and I understand fear and I understand why we need to talk about important issues. And if and like do like as much as you can handle, as much as you need to, if you feel led to take up the mantle for something, do. Absolutely do.
Of course.
Fight the fight. I know people that every single day fight hard for things they believe in.
Agreed.
But man, at the end of it, there has to be something for you. And I, like, I don't care if that's trying to make the perfect loaf of sourdough or that eternal hunt for, that one die-cast car that you just can't seem to find. We need that thing again. Desperately.
I agree. Well, honestly, man, I was concerned when I started doing the video for Word Balloon that I'm like, and I was doing so much. I'm like, am I trivializing this terrible time right now? And then I decided, I'm like, no, actually, I hope, and it really, I mean, seriously, everyone watching right now and everyone listening, so many people have written me and said thank you for the added episodes. It helps me cope with what's going on, or it's a good escape. And no, I think you're right. We need to be able to compartmentalize the reality of today, and then also have a little escape time to just have fun. And then and then again, you'll viewers and listeners, you'll forgive me that we spent the 20 minutes as we did about Chadwick Boseman, because I do think it's significant, and it was a moment that I do think a lot of people will be talking about in the days to come. But again, yeah, I mean, that's the general intent with the Word Balloon videos and the Word Balloon Live, and engaging with the audience too, right, is just giving us some escape time and have some fun and talk about again, comics, the things we love, and the entertainment that we love, and yeah, I mean that's the intent. Luckily, people get it.
Well, and like I think a lot about the fact that, like, I don't know what you donate to. I don't know what you fight for. I don't know, like in the end, I only know what I do and what I can do. I know those that I love. I know the causes that I donate to. I know the things that I stand for. If you are my friend, you know me. If you spend much time around me at all, you know me and you know my heart. I think you also know that I value you enough and your time and your world enough to hope that you can have something good. And this is my favorite term for this time is it's just that it's weird. This is the weird time.
It's the in-between time.
I have had friends handle this in vastly different ways. Some so much better than I have. Some not as good. We've lost people. We've had situations that we couldn't have begin to plan for. We've had extreme situations. But like, we do have to figure out how to be and how to survive and how to persevere. One of my things has actually to spend time with my sons. My two boys are now my youngest just turned 11, and my oldest is 15 and a half.
Wow.
And they are such good, funny, joyful people.
That's great, man.
You know, and we play video games together, and we watch. The 11-year-old's too young to watch some movies, but the 15-year-old is definitely to that sweet spot where we watch tons of horror movies, and we watch all the. But my 11-year-old, I was like, he because he used to go to bed earlier, but with the pandemic and with just growing older, he's now in that like coming out at 10:30, 11 o'clock, going, "Hey, you want to watch a movie?" But I was like, "Yeah, what do you want to watch?" And he's like, Alien. I'm like,
maybe not a good idea for.
I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and he's like, oh, I know about the chest burster. And I'm like, all right, let's,
wow,
yeah,
you're a cool parent. You're a cool parent.
I mean, like, I think you try to really keep in mind stories and things,
Sure.
And I think that we have like a lot of conversations, and that's actually been part of the beauty of this is like, I mean, so for Ethan's 15th birthday, which January 24th.
Okay.
So it was before all this.
Right.
He asked me if he could see the Joker.
Okay.
And I felt an incredible amount of responsibility with that movie and talking about that movie. And I realized that all of my kids' friends had seen the Joker. He was actually one of the few of his friends that hadn't seen it. And on his birthday, it had hit video on demand. And I was like, okay, you want to watch it? You have to hear me talk about it and talk about how I feel about the responsibility of the film and about the reaction of hurt with violence and so many things. But we really talked a lot about it, about, like how you can have a film that says something and, I haven't shown it to him yet, but like I used the example of being in my 20s seeing Fight Club. In my 20s, I didn't realize that you're not like that. Tyler Durden's not the good guy. Jack's not the good guy. Jack's an asshole. You're not supposed to want that. As a 44-year-old man, I look back. I rewatched it about a year ago, and I was just like, oh. They're everything that you're not supposed to like, and something like the Joker. Then it's my responsibility to have these important conversations with my children, and you try to be age appropriate and stuff like that. But the 15-year-old, we watched the Joker and we had a lot of conversations about it.
I think that's terrific. Absolutely. I'm gonna if you don't mind, a couple people have made more comments and I want to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Ed had it. Well, first I'm going to do what Gregory said. We met in 2006 or 7 at Comic-Con. In case you don't remember, drew the backup feature for Battle Hymn 5.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. At the con, you were a gent. Had some great advice for me back then that I took to heart. I'm getting paid for comics work and self-publishing. And what you said always replays over and over again. Make sure the last thing you've done is the best thing you can do. So thanks for the honesty and sincerity and your continued great work. That's really nice.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And for the backup that you did for us and that,
yeah, Battle Hymn was a great thing you and Clay did.
We keep talking about that. Like, how do you get back to that with our intense, weird got so much stuff that I want to get back to and trying to figure out how to pull it off.
Leading Man, another great early joint effort between you and B. Claymore, you know?
I think a lot about that. That is something that I truly feel is missing from not having conventions right now. It's kind of an aside, but like the opportunity to see those portfolios, to talk to people. I mean, there's online opportunities to a degree, but like I've met so many people throughout the years. You'll see this kid come up and they will be like pretty good, showing some, and then the next year they'll come back and they'll melt your brain, and then the next year they'll be drawing this for this person over here.
Yeah.
I mean, like I remember meeting Steve Orlando at cons and talking about what he was working on, and then then a year later talking about this, and then a year later talking about his image book, and then a couple years after that taking over the entire world. You see people grow and like how beautiful that is.
Tom King. Yeah. Tom King came to me. He had done that book with Tom Fowler, that novel of his, Under a Crowded Sky. Once a Crowded Sky, excuse me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he just started, hey, I'm in a DC sci-fi anthology. Oh, that's great. Hey, I'm doing the Omega Man. Wow, that's terrific. Hey, me and I forget the artist now that, when he did the Vision, I'm like, Jesus, Tom, that's amazing.
Well, my first experience with Tom was I want to say that it was at Heroes. Forgive me if I'm off a little bit here, but he had just released his novel, and Lori was with me at the show, and she, the shows are so busy, we barely get, you barely get to get up to run to the restroom.
Oh yeah, no, you guys are locked into that table, absolutely.
But we were there, and she comes back, and she's got a novel with her, and I'm like, oh, she's like, oh, there was this guy down there, and she enjoys comics a lot, but she wants to read, she wants to wait until like all of Y the Last Man is done before she reads it.
I understand.
She's more of a completist. She's more of a novel reader.
Right. Yeah. No. I want the whole story. Absolutely, man. I don't want to wait. I get it.
And so Tom was down the aisle, like maybe on the next aisle, and she saw that there was somebody there with a novel and was very excited to be able to get a novel at a Comic Con. She's like, I don't know, I bought it. And then I swung by and talked to him for a minute. She said, oh no, he's really cool and had a great idea. And the same thing. It's just like, dude with book at show becomes, guy that you see at several shows. And then, just that progression. And, now he won't return my phone calls. Yeah, I'm kidding. Tom,
I love Tom. Tom's in that circle, man, with you and Bendis and Rucka and Fraction and like my dearest friends in comics. Absolutely. Franco and Art, yeah.
I think that you see people that consistently work to make things, that like, I mean, comics ain't easy, man. Like, this industry,
you love it and it breaks your heart.
Exactly. No, that old, comics will break your heart. But like, it's not easy. It's long hours. It's isolation. It's living in your head a lot, which is, a really trying to explain that to your partner is always a really weird thing when you're like, I need to go be in a room alone thinking, I like you, but like Today I finished a short story script. I knew that I was going to be coming on and doing this evening. And so I needed a couple of hours, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna take, but like, I love my kids more than anything, but little monsters just kept coming in, and I'm like, do you understand that every single time you come in and ask me a question, I have to recalibrate and think again and get back into that headspace? And it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of devotion. And so I joke sometimes that whenever I'm making comics and they get really stressful and the deadlines become hellish, and I'm just trying to get the thing done and trying to make myself and my audience happy, sometimes I think about the guy that puts the cheese on the pizzas. He's just there, and his job is to get that.
Very zen. You're right about this. Seriously, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I worked in a Starbucks while I was in between radio jobs, and doing those kind of, and really, this isn't meant to be any condescending attitude, but truly, it's like you could really just sweep or whatever you need to do, and it gives you that downtime in your brain to be able to think creatively. I totally get it. I totally get it.
Well, there is, and I want to back you up there on that.
Oh, okay, excuse me.
No, not back you up. I want to agree with you. In no way am I actually diminishing the guy that puts the cheese on the pizza.
Oh no.
I'm actually saying I am like John said, we're not diminishing at all. There is beauty in tasks that are tasks and jobs that I've got a buddy, and I've known him forever. He's my age, and he is in charge of the toy department at Target. Some days I really want Seth's job.
I understand.
So, some days I really would love to obsessively straighten the Legos. I love that stuff. But we have this thing inside of us. We have this thing. It's like I was talking earlier about I was hanging out with my family and playing games and baking bread and drinking a lot and watching movies late at night and playing a video game, all those things. And I needed to tell stories. I had this Lori talks a lot about sensing an unsettledness in me, she knows something, I'm not getting as much work done as I want to. I'm not telling stories, it's very easy, especially even during this, it's you build other expectations in life, and then everything you say yes to means saying no to something else, and it's this week I spent the lion's share of my time working on interviews and promotions for 40 Seconds, my new book.
Yes.
Talking about that. And I realized that shit, I didn't get as much writing done. I didn't get as much drawing done because I'm having to focus on this other aspect.
Sure.
And I'm twitchy for it. I just start I'm like a storm cloud rumbling through the house or whatever it is. But I don't know. It's interesting.
Let's and for a moment, I do want to talk about 42nd, but Ed had a question about Red Mother. Red Mother is creepy good. Can you talk about partnering with Danny Luckert and the art style? It's like real world photorealistic, but somehow often the best way.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Red Mother,
and then we will talk about 40 Seconds. Yeah.
I was invited to do the Red Mother by the fine folks at Boom Studios. We originally talked. I pitched a few things. I hesitantly, I kind of held back on the Red Mother. I was like, I don't know if I felt comfortable with it. It made me nervous. It was such a weird, different idea. This thing saying hey, it's kind of a paced out horror story. It's atmospheric. You know, how do you, I don't know. I was nervous to explain it, but I did.
Give the pitch before you continue in terms of let people know what the Red Mother is about.
Yeah, the Red Mother is the story of Daisy McDonough. She is a woman that is comfortable in her world. She's got a guy that she just really, really likes, maybe even is starting to really love. And things are good. And one night they're out for pizza and they're flirting back and forth and making jokes about if you can make out when you're that full of pizza. And they're walking home and it's just nice. And something happens. Something calls out to them in the dark. And Luke is taken, pulled into the dark. And Daisy loses her eye. An attack. And the story is about Daisy losing that guy that she cares about and part of herself and trying to heal from it. And she gets this prosthetic eye and she begins the process of emotionally and physically healing. And then through that eye starts to see things amidst the day-to-day New York life. A dark, dark thing standing there, smiling at her, coming closer and closer. And, you know, these dark things, she sees them, but they start to see her back. And, yeah, the Red Mother calls to her and wants her, and hopefully she can escape.
Excellent. Absolutely, man.
Yeah. It's my love letter to all of those atmospheric horror films that I grew up with. It's
sure.
You know, it's Italian horror. It's, you know, not so splattery, but just like some of the feel of some of that. It's
The Grudge kind of came to mind.
Yeah. Well, I do think there's definitely a lot of like Junji Ito, who did Uzumaki, which became the what's it called, Spiral, I think is what the film that they made out of it was called.
Okay.
Tomie, a lot of he's brilliant horror manga creator, but a lot of Japanese and even Korean horror,
sure,
atmospheric. The idea of things that you awaken or run into that then you can't shake, you know, like you said, like The Ring. There's something about
The Ring. That's what I was thinking of. Yes, of course.
You know, there's something about something that you're inconsequential to, that is coming for you no matter what, and no matter what you do and how hard you try, you know, it's coming, and you can try to survive, you can try to get away, but you know, who knows.
Cool.
To the question, you know, that story, I pitched it, and they were like, that one's the one we want, you know. And then we went through the process of trying to find creative partners on it, and I was shown a series of really fantastic creatives, and Danny just stuck out. Danny Luckert, there was something in the way that he drew Daisy, the lead character. There was a vulnerability, but there was like this strength to her. There was, you know, because I mean, her character had terrible things happen and then had to figure out how to persevere, how to get beyond that. And she does. She's a badass. I mean, not in the like necessarily like, you know, pull out a police baton and beat something to death, but like she's She's a very real badass, you know.
No, I hear you, man. No, exactly.
The strength that you see in women where they just stand and get back up and go on and find, you know, love and hope. And Danny brought something to her, and it was like, and it just clicked for me. It was like he created something there that, you know, he mentioned like his style. It's very real, but it's cartoony. It's done in a way that is unendingly beautiful. He, you know, the characters in the story, every single time that I would write a moment, and you know, I've written stuff and I've been nervous, especially when you start work with a new creator, you know, with a new artist. You see what they can do, but then, like, more than anything, I think you know, people talk about like action scenes are hard to write. It's not really true. Scenes with emotionality are hard to write.
Sure.
If you're writing a scene and you're talking about, you know, like she has therapy scenes in this, and I always think that writing scenes of therapy are really tricky, because in therapy you have what you talk about, and then there's the truth that I think that you're hiding from yourself and from your therapist, that you're trying to kind of, the therapist is trying to peel that away, is trying to get that truth. Yes. And you know, so if you say, how are you today? And I say, oh, you know, I'm okay. And I say, you know, like, I was watching the birds, you know, on the line outside of my house. And, you know, but then, like, the reason that I was doing that thing was because I couldn't be inside because of how I felt or whatever. You know, you have to peel those away. And so, getting that emotionality out of the character, Danny just did that every single time. It wasn't like I didn't even have to go so far. You know, I would say she's, you know, she's excited, but somewhat apprehensive, you know, and he would just get that like every single time. You know, there were things, you know, this last issue, you know, I was describing her waking up, and there's that moment when you slept for a really long time, and there's that glass of water by your bed, and like the way that you drink that glass of water after you've been asleep for like 14 hours from being sick or something like that. And he just nailed it. You know, it's the little things. And he captures those moments, and then does in this horror so well. You know, I've been incredibly fortunate in the creative partners that I've had on these projects.
Yeah.
You know, you get asked the question a lot, you know, like, oh, you're an artist, writer, artist, however you want to say it.
Sure.
Is it hard for you to let other artists come in? You know, does it bother you? Do you look at their stuff and you know, pick through everything? You know, no, I think that, like, I want to bring on somebody. You know, I have had the opportunity to work with people that I feel like are as good, if not better, generally better than me. You know, and these people, they come on and they just blow me away. And I don't know. I'm endlessly proud of the Red Mother and Danny and the work we've done. He is drawing issue 10 right now of 12. We're going to do 12 issues of that series.
Okay.
And we've always had a beginning, middle, and end for this story. We knew exactly, you know,
where you were going.
We knew it was going to always be 12 issues. There's no weirdness. There's no having to stop it, anything at all. You know, we knew where it was going to go. It's a maxi series, and you know, because I know that it's a journey, and I know that a journey has to end, and I want a place for an end. I know what we're building to. And I love it. But yeah, so love Danny. He's awesome.
What I've noticed about a lot of your partners is and especially on the art side, when you've had other artists, they do fit your style. And so you clearly know what you're looking for and find the right partners. And that's the thing. I even think with the different art styles, they do still feel like your stories, whether you're drawing them or writing them. So I think that's great that you find these partners that I think fit you so well. And maybe again, as an artist yourself, maybe it is easier, or I don't know, but you know what you're looking for.
Right.
Find these right people.
Well, I think that it's the joy and creativity, right? Like it's just it's being open. One of the biggest things that I always really truly wanted whenever I was working on projects was to have a writer that respected my thoughts and input and truly treated me like I was, I wasn't just an art monkey, right? Like I was, and I just remember like David Hine and I would meet at conventions at New York or San Diego. We'd talk back and forth about The Darkness when we were working on that together. And we would have these conversations, and I was always so fascinated with writing and doing, thanks, buddy. You're awesome. Henry, thanks so much. But also maybe not true, but thank you. But when we were working on that, David and we would talk, and I would ask him questions. I was always like, so the Darkness loves Jackie, right? Because it's a symbiotic relationship. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, well, but it would want Jackie to be happy, wouldn't it? Yeah. Do you think that if things got weird enough that the Darkness would kind of make out with Jackie to make him feel better about himself? Yes. And we had those conversations, and every single time I felt so valued by, like David just valued my input and those questions that I asked. My relationship working with Seth on the Realm, it was just so bad. Like we would sit down and we would talk about story, and we'd talk and talk and talk, and there would be bits, and we'd write little things back and forth, and Seth would put it all together at the end, but like it was the best situation. Working with Hurley on The Beauty, there was a freedom there to tell the story the way that we wanted to. We sat across the room from each other looking like loons, like we were playing Battleship or something. Typing in the Google Docs and just not really saying anything, but just, and then every once in a while, he'd write, "You're an asshole." And I'd be like, hey. But like those situations, I always wanted situations where I was valued as a creative, that my input mattered.
Sure.
And I want to be able to give that back to the creatives that I work with. I want, you have an idea for a story. You have an idea for a way you want to approach something. That's always going to happen. I get that. But like listening and working with someone and sharing a vision makes for a better product. And I don't care if that's the writer and artist relationship, if that's the relationship with the colorist. I was talking with Thomas Maurer, who is our letterer on 40 Seconds.
Yeah.
Last night, and I was like, hey, send me some stuff that I can show off what you do, because Thomas's design work just brings so much to it. It's the little things sometimes, and it's, I know that it's very easy in comics, and maybe this comes as a surprise that we are like this now in a society, because we generally get along so well, but there's always this like artists be like this, writers be like this thing where it's like, like writer me should be threatened by an artist, getting credit at all, or vice versa or some dumb shit. I think it's all stupid because
Yeah.
Unless you know who gets all the credit on the Haunthology stuff? Me.
Well, yeah, because you're solo.
It's all me.
Yeah.
But you know what? Danny deserves an endless amount of credit for the way that Red Mother looks.
It's the heavy lifting. I mean, the art is the heavy lifting. It's what gets people in the that they open the book and they flip through the page. It's like, oh, this looks interesting. I want to read more. No, I agree, man. Absolutely. And a lot of that pendulum swings back and forth. In the 90s, the artist was in front.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden in the 2000s, everyone was reminded, oh, no, but the writer's important. And again, it kind of swings back and forth. And I do hope, and I think with creator-owned books, that is the case, or even sometimes in the mainstream, you get that. Capullo and Snyder are a good example of that. Gerard's and Shaner and King right now on Strange Adventures, and certainly, Mitch and Tom, what they did on Mr. Miracle, and even, of course, the Sheriff of Babylon. I mean, all that stuff is, it's a two-hander. And I hope moving forward that we are kind of out of the one dominating over the other, and that you really do appreciate, the entire experience, including the letterers and the colorists. I mean, God, I've been having this conversation about how important coloring is, and just having talked to Brubaker and stuff a week or two ago about how important Jacob Phillips has been. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Well, I keep saying this, and I just hope that maybe we can eventually bang it into some people's heads. Giving credit, saying nice things about the people you're working with credit's not like pie, right? If you get a piece of pie and this person gets a piece of pie, there might not be a very big piece of pie for me. That's not the way it works. Credit, just say thank you. Talk about people. We have had our asses saved time and time again by letterers who have to do this stuff in the blink of an eye and make it look right, and they still get noted to death and this and that. I'm lettering my own stuff right now for the Haunthology stuff, and it's credit pie is delicious.
Sweet credit pie, as Ed says. Yes, absolutely.
But I'm lettering the stuff for the Haunthology stuff right now, and it's a pain in the ass. Lettering. Letterer me hates artist me and writer me. He thinks they're jerks. But I don't know. I really think that we need to. We love comics. We want to make comics. Fans want to read comics. Retailers want to sell comics. Publishers want to publish their comics. Creators want to create. We all have an end goal that seems to be very similar. Let's maybe just work together and appreciate a little bit more. Let's try just a little bit harder to give credit to everybody and maybe make it a little bit easier to buy comics and to, have a sustainable lifestyle for people,
yeah.
We need to get living wages for the people making things. We need to make sure that stores can keep their doors open. We need to make sure that that the lion's share of the money for something isn't going to middlemen of middlemen. That's probably pretty political, but there.
No, I know what you mean, though, man. Do you have enough? I mean, again, I feel bad. We've been talking for 2 hours. I do want to talk about 40 seconds.
Let's do it. Wrap up. Yeah, I'm good.
So, Comixology original, 42nd, you and Chris Mitten and company, and then by all means, credit the rest of the people that deserve a piece of the pie.
Yeah. So 40 Seconds is our new big blockbuster sci-fi world jumping epic from Comixology Originals. It's myself with Chris Mitten, who is brilliant and wonderful and one of the most delightful people that I know. If you haven't seen him on the various Mignolaverse stuff, Rasputin, BPRD, and Hellboy. He is absolutely fantastic. Chicago Boy, he's on line work. He's the artist on that. And then Brett Weldley, who actually is an illustrator himself from the Surrogates back in the day that became the movie. Great sci-fi series. Brett actually did an arc of The Beauty for us.
Oh,
second arc. One of actually my favorite arcs of the series. He typically draws and colors all of it. He does the whole 9 yards. He graciously came in. We were talking about bringing in a colorist on this project, and Chris kept saying, I want something different. I want something, that's like elevates and pushes. And he, I had seen Brett color something else over another artist, and I was like, I'm going to insult Brett and just ask him if he would. And he was like, it's Chris. He's like, I'll do this. And he's come on and added so much. There's layers of depth and various things that he's done in there that I couldn't have begun to imagine. And the epic scale of these worlds that we're showing, they come together. Chris and Brett just do something truly, truly special in this. I adore it.
So what's the 10-second or the 10-cent pitch on the plot of 40 Seconds?
40 Seconds is the story of a forward team of science explorers that go to answer a distress call through a gate that jumps through time and space. And the first team that went through was lost, so they're following that team. And along the way, each world is a different jump, because it can't be a jump that goes all the way, because it's so many light years, 1 million light years away from us.
Okay.
So they use each gate to go progressively further. And they jump to the next world, and something inexplicable, a massive horde of something is hunting them, and they weren't warned about it. They didn't know. And now they're having to fight for their lives and get to the next gate and activate it and get to the next world with these things that keep showing up and keep getting closer and closer and closer. There's
interesting.
It's sci-fi. It's my love of all of those wonderful world hopping,
Sliders, Stargate.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about like a lot about like Star Trek, and about how I just loved every time they go to a new world. It was always some weird like California location or whatever it was, but they made it work, and they did something so cool with it.
Oh yeah.
Again and again. For some reason, I think a lot about Land of the Lost. And I was thinking Black Hole recently.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. I noticed it was on Disney Plus. That's awesome.
Yeah. I love these things where there's because it's me, this is my big popcorn summer blockbuster sci-fi adventure. Because it's me, it's got some horror in it, because it gets weird, and
Good.
I think that, like, these kinds of sci-fi stories they're always rooted in something that's come before. We've seen it, we've felt it, I mean, I read something talking about, like, all the great stories have been told. It's just now how we rearrange it,
Sure.
For me, it's this thing that seems like a thing, it's about world hopping, trying to get to the final thing. It's not about that. It's about these other things that
along
you realize along the way. And
Yeah, and, the destination is never the story; it's the journey.
Right. And so, I don't know. We're having so much fun. I just saw Chris has started on the inks for issue 4.
Great.
Brett finished colors, and Thomas Maurer has turned in the letters and design on issue 3. So we have 3 issues fully into Comixology. Issue 4 will be done within the month.
Okay.
I'm writing issue 5, which is the final issue of this story.
Okay.
Very much just designed it to be a 5-issue miniseries. I'm not going to, since we're not live, so you can cut this out. Oh shit, we are live.
We are live.
I'm just being stupid. I've had bourbon, but no. We kind of could do more. We would kind of like to do more. And we very much built this story to have a beginning, middle, and end. It does a thing. It does what I want it to do, exactly the way I want to do it. But you know what? We've got all the freedom in the world to tell more, and I kind of like to.
I think that's great, man, and I love Chris. I was hoping to talk to both of you about this. Chris is a little Mike shy, and that's okay. And
he actually just hates you. That's the thing. He messaged me and he's like, "John's too pleasant."
I hate him. No, I understand. No, honestly, and it bums me out because he's a local guy, but he's married and he's got kids and he's in the burbs, so he doesn't hang out in the city like some of Seeley, Norton, and that group and everything. So I don't see him as much as I do some other creators. Mike Morisi is another guy like that too. But I enjoy them; they're good dudes, and I've always enjoyed Chris's art. And I was really excited. Whenever my friends work on something together, I'm like, "Oh, that's great! Let's all talk. That'll be terrific." So I was bummed because I've been meaning to have Chris on for years, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a great opportunity." He's like, "Yeah, no." And I'm like,
you realize, like, he's the smart one, right? I mean, like he actually was like, I can go and I can sit at the art table and draw and watch a movie and just hang out a little, take it easy, eat a pizza, and you have to go and you have to do all the talking. See, he's the smart one. He's making me do all the work. This is where the artist just can screw over the writer on this one small aspect. Like, you're going to do the promo. This is your job. Yeah.
It's kind of true, man. And no, you're right about that. Well, and also sometimes I feel bad. You, especially when we met, you were an artist originally, initially, and a co-plotter. So you were kind of an exception, and I would kind of lean on talking to writers first and foremost. And since then, I really have tried to have my share of artists on in solo conversations, and still don't do it enough.
I mean, you're a story guy, and you appreciate the art. You've always appreciated art, but I think that you identify with the writers.
Yeah, because I've been a sports writer. I've been a copywriter. I mean, that's the thing. I haven't written fiction,
right?
But I've got my fiction ideas and stuff like that. And I am a writer. Yeah.
Well, and I've seen, I've followed what you do for years. So I know. I mean, you never brought the interesting people on. It was always the boring writers, but that's okay, because now I'm a boring writer myself, and yeah.
No. It's honestly, I am excited to read this, and I do love all my friends that are doing stuff at Comixology with the originals, and I think they're all pursuing really interesting ideas. And God, I saw that they cut a deal with Dark Horse to start releasing some of the stuff as collected trades and stuff, and I think that's terrific. God, Chip and I, Zdarsky and I talked about Afterlift, months ago when it was first coming out, and Segura and I talked about Black Ghost, and everybody. And like I just told you, I mean, God, Johnny Christmas was just on 2 days ago talking about Crema, so.
Can Johnny be any better at everything he does?
Johnny?
Yeah, my God, that guy.
Seriously, man, great artist. I love talking to him. He's an incredibly upbeat guy, and we were cracking up 2 days ago when we were talking about Crema and everything. No, I really like Johnny a lot. He's a terrific guy.
He was another, I got to see him in Chicago, and I was hoping to grab dinner with him. It's always chaos, but I just love everything the guy does. And I feel like a voice of, very important voice in comics right now. I love the change. I think we were kind of joking back and forth about being, artists that write and writers that draw, and kind of how that works. And it's like, I just love seeing, people getting to tell stories the way that they want without any kind of limitation. And Johnny stands out as one of, he's a bright shining star in the middle of all this right now. So
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Oh, he's amazing. And yeah. And again, that's the thing. I really think that you're all taking advantage of the opportunity at Comixology to tell different stories. And then I think Johnny's a great example of that with Kreml.
Yeah. Well, I think that, and I actually would like for kind of talk about the change and what Comixology really means. And I'm excited. I'm very, it's been hard to stay quiet about the publishing deal, because that's been building for a while. And, but it's going to be a game changer on top of a game changer. But, Comixology came in and, I spoke with Chip and
Chip Mosher,
and I had an opportunity to pitch a project, and I pitched 40 seconds and another thing. And basically he was just like, I like both of these. Which one do you want to do right now? And I was like, okay, well, let's do 40 seconds. And, they let you tell stories the way you want to tell stories. They absolutely support you. They, the originals, we get a budget for our staff. We get a schedule that is respectful to what we can do. They expect you to obviously be realistic,
Sure.
Like, it's going to be 5 years.
No,
maybe not. But like, it's like, it's weird because it's a company that really appreciates professionalism. And if you're professional and you're doing your thing, they're going to support you along the way and really let you do your thing.
It reminds me almost of the streaming model and the way they handle original movies and original television. Yeah. That they give you the time and the resources to get it done, and then they will schedule it accordingly.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really smart. And again, like the streamers also have the back catalog of other publishers making their own product and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a very interesting, honestly, the evolution of Comixology from when they started, it's been 10 years. And isn't it? And then again, I like the way that digital has found its niche alongside print. And just like, and I mean, that was the thing, like, because a lot of us really were concerned, especially after tablets came out, of the challenge of digital comics and what does that mean for the printed comic book. And thankfully it followed the mode of cable being next to network television and now streaming next to cable and network television, in terms of there's enough room in the spectrum for all of it to exist. There's enough pie to go around. Yeah, going back to your analogy.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
My favorite thing about because I've always been a physical comics reader. I've had not this last C2E2, but the previous one. I got my iPad Pro to start drawing on. But comics look really good on that iPad Pro. And, but I'm still in my heart a physical reader. I still want those comics. I still want the paper. I still want
yeah, I get it.
But the difference for me is, I still have my pull. I have my pull list at Hurley's Heroes here in Joplin. And, I go in every week, pick up my books, pick out which ones I'm going to read first. Then I start going through the back catalog of all the books, that I've let stack up for a year. And occasionally you'll find out that, like, somehow through some weird thing you've lost or missed or somehow something fell through the cracks, and you're wanting to read the entire, Kieran Gillen, Darth Vader story.
Sure.
And somehow you've got 24 issues stacked up there, and you're like, I'm going to tear through these. And you're like, I'm missing issue 6, 7, 14, and 22. Normally, if you're sitting there and it's like, like you're doing that, like I'm going to read for 5 hours in bed kind of thing, right? You're like, well, shit, I get to issue 6 and I have to stop, right? Because then you have to go back. Well, and also, are they going to have it at the shop? Is it going to be, I can just, it's still too many steps, and I will gripe about that. And I griped to Chip about it, so it's not going to, but, I buy those issues that I'm missing. I read through my physical copies, and then I hit that issue, and I'm like, oh, hey, and I'm just gonna, and I buy it on Comixology, and I read it. And there's no more lags in my reading. I can just do that now. And I also have been doing this thing where, like, I don't know, I was like, I want to read the, Life Death, that the Barry Windsor Smith X-Men run from back in the day with Forge and Storm and dealing with that.
Yep.
Throw a few bucks, get those issues. It's fantastic to be able to just,
sure,
or like wanting to read those the introduction of Zorn in the X-Men.
Of course.
So those annuals that Grant Morrison wrote all those years ago, and it's like you just get on there and it's a couple bucks and it's so easy. And
well, I'll be honest, for Marvel, especially the back catalog stuff, I subscribe to Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
And it is, and truly the comics look, and really all the digital comics, they look amazing on digital. I'm a hand in hand. I try to support the local stores, but I also buy digital as well. And I also have the subscription to Marvel Unlimited. And yeah, as you were saying about, especially Marvel back issues, I was rereading Marvel 2-in-1, the original Marvel 2-in-1 stuff with the Thing and the guest stars, and also the Invaders, a lot of Robbins and Roy Thomas.
Well, and they just keep adding more and more, and they get deeper and deeper, and it's I don't know. I do feel like it's an exciting time if you look at the availability of content and how good it looks. And for me, it's gotten harder and harder to, I have a big studio, my space that I live and work in. It's nice. This
is your writer's room as opposed to your art room.
Yeah. This is my. I was going to say that I was going to talk about that.
Here, I'm going to solo you out because I also want you to acknowledge your Dracula poster there.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
I guess we're only the other way.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
I love that.
Who was that from? And I'm blanking that poster group that make amazing, like they always do. God damn it, I can't think of their name.
Mondo? No, it's not.
What's it? Yeah, Mondo. Mondo is what I was thinking of.
No, it's not them. This is just a reproduction of an old piece from forever ago.
Okay.
I saw it and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Creepy. That's cool. But yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, this is your writer's room, and I kind of like the sparseness of it. If it is totally sparse,
well, it's not that sparse. Here, I'm going to do
swing around.
It's going to make everybody barf if I do that.
No, not at all.
All right. So you can see oh,
nice. There you go. Sure.
This
is like, and again, forgive the old reference. This is like 1950s TV when Edward R. Murray used to do person to person, and they would set up the cameras in stars' homes.
Right.
Oh, well, it looks like you've got a lovely living room there, Mr. Jerry Lewis. And it's a pleasure to meet your wife.
I'm weird. I don't know. I can't.
You're not weird.
Yes.
Oh, having separate rooms for writing and drawing.
For the past 20 years, I wake up, I eat a little bit. I say hi to my kids if they're in school or or if they're not in school or whatever. Then I go out and I start drawing, and then at dinner time I stop drawing and make dinner, hang out with them for a while. Take a short nap, maybe watch a couple shows with the family or with Lori, play a couple of video games with the boys, one or both of the boys. And then about 10 o'clock, I start work again, and I work from 10 until 5 in the morning.
Wow.
Just drawing, just constantly drawing. And somehow that seeped into my psyche that if I am in my studio room, and it's also like all the design, like there's not really a desk in there that's a desk. It's like it's an art table and a standing art table and like a couch that I can kind of write on, but that's bad for your back. But like none of the surfaces were really designed for writing.
Okay.
And then if I'm in that space, I have a compulsion. I'm supposed to be drawing. So I feel guilty if I'm not drawing. I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, I've got this page over here. I've got I've got a few commissions that I absolutely have to finish, in September. Those are going to eat at me, and so I have to write this story. It is due. But if I'm in the studio, I I'm sitting there typing away on something and like looking over longingly at my art table, and so when about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I was writing in my buddy Jeff has this old abandoned building that's being refurbished, that's getting ready to be refurbished. It's crazy looking. I posted pictures of it, but it looks like you're going to get murdered there. But it's perfectly safe. It's, I lock and unlock and go in. But I set up a table in there and I was like, I'm going to write spooky stories in here. It's perfect. And then but there's, no heat or air conditioning. So you can write for about 2 months out of the year. You can write comfortably in there without sweating or freezing your ass off.
I understand.
So I started writing at our local coffee shop. Bearded Lady Roasters is right downtown. Great coffee. Amazing atmosphere. I sit in there. I put my earbuds in so I don't have to hear people apostatizing to one another. It's great. But then COVID. I'm not going to go right in a damn coffee shop.
No.
I
understand.
It's not safe. It's just not safe. And I'm not going to put myself at risk. I'm not going to put my family at risk. I'm not going to put others at risk. I go in and I pick up my coffee to go, but you can't, I just can't, I'm not going to
can't sit there. No, I understand.
So, there are offices at the Empire Market. Lori and Ivy run the Empire Market, our city market downtown. And there's these offices up above. There's 26 offices or something like that. And I was like, I could lease an office up here they're incredibly affordable. So I was just like, I can do this. This is not, this is not bad. And I made it my own space. I a little bit of decorating. This angle's not great, but it's very, very comfortable.
Oh, so you're not home. You're at this building.
I am at this. Yeah, I am at this building right now.
Oh my God! I figured this was in your house. Okay.
No. This is just this is at a separate building.
Oh God. Okay.
And part of the reason I'm here, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, is because they have fiber. So my internet speeds are fantastic here.
Good connectivity, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a bit assish at my house for good video connections. So
I'm with you.
Yeah. So I don't know. This has been great, and I can focus here. And I learned even more than the building, which is just a little bit weird and maybe a little bit uncomfortable, and even more than the coffee shop where I always had people kind of, hey, how's it going? I can hit a zone here, and I come in. I try to write for 4 to 5 hours 4 to 5 days a week. And I've got my wherever they are, I got my headset, I can put that on. I listen to lately the Twin Peaks soundtrack over and over and over again.
Sure.
And I just write, I
understand.
It's freeing. It's exactly, what I need. And it's been good.
Well, and also, and I understand because I've talked to creators who both rent a space to work and then also the ones that try to work at home. And the operative word is try, and some are able to do it. And others, it is, God, no, the kids want your attention, obviously. And I understand you're their father. Lori might need stuff and everything. And it's, they don't realize, like you said, that sometimes you need that downtime to get into that zone. So it's really important to have that space where you can just, be in your brain and then kind of let your imagination run.
I think there's a big difference in drawing with kids in the room and writing with kids in the room.
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm sitting there on my tablet on the couch. They're playing Xbox.
Sure.
Dad, look at this guy. I'm wrecking him on Fortnite. I can look up and be like, oh, that's cool. And then I, go back down and we'll watch movies or talk or whatever it is. That's fine. It's just this thing, I think, where I'm like having to write an intense scene, or like,
well, you're in that world. You're in your fictional world.
Mm-hmm.
And your senses have to be open to that fictional world to respond to whatever the story needs. And no distractions. I mean, and also the fact that when you are listening to something, it's a soundtrack. It's not movie dialogue. It's not the television and stuff. And no, man, I can totally relate. And when I really need intense writing time and stuff, I'm a big jazz freak, so I'll just put jazz instrumentals on, and I can listen to that while I'm writing, and it won't interfere with my creative process. And I know other great writers have referred to and I've found internet radio channels that provide nothing but instrumentals and good instrumentals to kind of lose yourself in and then be able to focus on the writing. I get it.
Yeah. I don't know if I probably have a little bit of, ADHD, I mean, it is, look, we've all got our stuff, and
I think a lot of us have that, actually, frankly.
Yeah.
So,
and I think focus is not always easy. You try to do your best and.
Oh, by the way, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say two things. Ed points out that, speaking of jazz, happy 100th to Charlie Parker.
Oh, wow.
And then sad irony, not to dwell on it, but Mike points out that Chadwick Boseman died on Jack Kirby's 103rd birthday today.
Oh, damn. Yeah, it is Jack Kirby Day.
Yeah, 103.
Yeah. Wow.
No, it's amazing. And again, sad irony. And again, I don't mean to suck us into the sadness of losing Chad Boseman, but very different careers, but definitely connected and also impactful careers. I mean, you've got people that left a mark on entertainment and the way we view things. And, one of the things that I thought about so much during this crazy time with COVID and the pandemic and adjustments and trying to do the best we can is just about what we leave behind and what stories we tell and why we tell the stories we tell. I'm never going to begrudge anybody for their career or their path or what they do. No. Not at all. Do your thing your way. If you want to draw, 180 issues of whatever it is, do it. I don't care. Please have fun. Do your thing your way. But for me, I need to be able to tell my stories my way. And I don't, I'm not saying that it's going to leave it's not going to leave a Jack Kirby-esque effect on the world, but it can have an effect, and that story is out there, and those things. And you talk to people, and there's people on right now and all, but you affect
the world. You do tell stories, and people enjoy these things. And if it gives you a moment, if it gives you 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour of relief from a hectic day, or you just want to lose yourself or have a little bit of fun, that's what this is here for. It's we all need it, we all want it.
I agree, and I also think that as a creator, the great thing is that you forged a following with your DC, Marvel, Top Cow work, and now are able to bring that audience with you to your creator own stuff. And it's fun to see that you are able to entertain that audience and hopefully get it growing. And also, as we get older, we still love the superhero stories, sure. But I do think as we get older, we're not satisfied with just that. Mm-hmm. We'd like other stories as well. Right. And that's why really the last 20 or so years in comics has been so fun, mm-hmm. in terms of that the market is recognizing the other genres, mm-hmm. and the joy they bring. And there's nothing that I appreciate more than going into a really great comic shop and not only seeing the racks of the superhero books, but here's the horror section, mm-hmm. and it's very well populated, or the other genres are well represented. And again, talking to Ed recently, Brubaker, about crime comics and the niche that he and Sean have found themselves in. Rucka's the same way with the stuff that he's doing, his creator-owned stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's great, and I'm really glad that all of my friends, including yourself, obviously, are finding satisfaction with their work beyond working for the big two or any publisher and having to do a licensed character rather than their own stuff. And I mean, again, from day one, when I met you guys, you and Clay and, people like that back then, again, it was your Image books that made me pay attention. And thankfully, again, that you're 15 years later are still able to, do cool work. So way to go, man.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we can wrap up, buddy. I mean, I feel like I'm keeping you away from home. Like I said, I thought you were just in a private room at home and stuff. So
no, this is fine. Yeah, that's the great thing about, this is my house is literally 10 blocks away.
Okay.
Yeah. But this has been great, and
dude,
it's just
seriously, it's great to see you. I'm glad, thank God, we've got the technology that even though we can't be in the same room, we're able to hang out like this. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I spent a lovely Friday evening with my good friend Jeremy Haun, and that's exactly what I was hoping for. And I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I know you and I did.
Yeah.
So,
thanks so much, John. I appreciate it.
As always. Yeah.
Let's do this again soon. And
please.
I sincerely hope that we can get the world to a place where you and I can have another amazing dinner together sometime.
Damn straight, man. As always, my best to Lori, and everybody, thanks a lot for watching. I'm not really sure what I've got in store for Word Balloon Live next week. I've got a stack of Mainframe Comic-Con interviews and panels that I've been meaning to get to, but my friends have books that are coming out, and I want to give them the chance to talk about them. So I kept pushing them to, all right, I'll get to it in a couple of days. So expect a lot of that in the days ahead. Of course, next Thursday, I'll be doing my Lower Decks rewatch of Star Trek. And Jared, do you have streaming? Are you watching any of the new Star Trek?
I am not. Well, I need to get to it, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Gabe Hardman and I and Andy Parks and Jeff Parker will be talking about another episode of The Outer Limits next week, the original series.
Nice.
And, we're talking about, I believe it's called The Sixth Finger, which was the David McCallum episode where he evolves and becomes this, much more advanced human being. And it's a great piece of sci-fi from the early 60s. And, The Outer Limits doesn't get its due.
Right. No, that's a lot of fun stuff.
And The Outer Limits only lasted a year and a half, the original series, which I couldn't believe. I knew it lasted 2 seasons, and I was surprised to learn there's literally only 49 episodes of the whole run.
Right. Seems like a lot more, but yeah.
Yeah. And so many classic episodes in those 49. I mean, that's why I'm even more blown away. And yeah, Gabe, if people don't know and I haven't been paying attention, Gabe was like, how come there isn't a good Outer Limits podcast? And I'm like, you want to do it? and knowing Gabe is such a film buff, like he was kind of perfect for it. And then yeah, he literally was like, hey, Parks wants to be on. I'm like, that sounds great. And Parker wants to be on. That sounds great. So
I love it. This is like the most throwback. You get like the four of you. Yeah, that's perfect. That's beautiful.
Well, that's the thing. We all love old movies and old TV and stuff. So it's like, oh no, God, let's do that. So yeah, so look forward to those at the very least, as far as Word Balloon Live's coming up next week, next Thursday. And who knows, some things might creep up in the meantime as well. I'm glad that we had an opportunity, not only, Jared, to talk about what you're doing, but also take a moment to appreciate the career of Chadwick Boseman and his sad passing. And I'm sure that will, impact a lot of discussion online in the days ahead. So what else can we say but a great body of work and a sad loss for all of us. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, for watching. And as I end with every broadcast with,